Welcome to the WisMissus podcast, reading, writing, and roaming around Wisconsin, the Midwest, and beyond. And it is our fourth episode of season 2. And I am Valerie Biel here with.
I am T.K. Sheffield, and I write books for readers who want to laugh and escape. And then I always I feel like I want to add one more line to that tagline, which is I'm having way more fun than I should be.
Hey, wait. I don't think you think that's true. No, you're having the right amount of fun, right?
Yes,
Maybe you should be
that's
having
the way
more
to look
fun.
at it. And today's episode probably will bring me down a notch because we're talking about reviews.
We are
But,
today.
you
We
know,
are.
yeah.
Well, and it's time. So last month we took a little bit of a break because we were talking about the World Orphan Fund. We were part of the podcast fund, took a break to take part in that and talk about a charity. And now we're back with, we joke, regularly scheduled programming. And we're going to talk about reviews, what we should do, what our approach is, what our strategy is for reviews. But we're also going to share just for fun, some of our worst reviews, which you have to be able to laugh at. Now, you've heard this advice always given that you shouldn't probably read your reviews, but of course do you read them?
I glance at them after a margarita or two.
But see, here's the other thing. Never, ever respond to
No.
reviews. Never respond. Just step away from that keyboard, even if you want to respond.
If you want to respond, go on a podcast and then talk about them. Commiserate with others if you want to respond.
And we actually should invite you all today. So anybody who wants to share an equally horrific review, if you like. I mean, we all have beautiful reviews that people have liked our stuff. That's always satisfying.
Well, I am so grateful for the person. I don't know. They have purchased a book, hopefully at an indie bookshop, or they have downloaded the ebook. Model Suspect is 99 cents on Amazon right now. I write books for readers to laugh and escape. And if you need to escape right now, I totally get it. You need a good laugh right now. That's why I put it at 99 cents. But
Right.
I am so grateful for the person who took the time to read my book, find it, read it, and give a review. 4 or 5 stars is fabulous, but just even one line, I really enjoyed this. It took my mind off of things. I am so grateful for that.
And just like the entertainment
Yes.
value. I'm not writing long literary tomes. I am enjoying my writing. I like what I write. And if that resonates with someone and they you're right, take a few minutes to do that, especially people who we don't know.
Right.
And they take the time to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like a really good day for us. But
Right. And then, as writers, we try to give back. We try to say, oh, if you liked this, a Blackbird writer writes similarly. This one might be also something you'd enjoy. That's why we've got the Substack. That's why we do this, because we want to say, look, we write, we try to do well, we try to entertain, and we want to share that ideas and other authors like that with you.
Exactly. Well, on that note, we should let's head into our reading, writing, roaming summary. What have you been reading lately that you've been loving?
I will show you. I have been reading, I read this, The Illusionist by our dear Lori Buchanan. She's a wonderful writer, and this is I believe this is the 5th issue, book 5 in the Sean McPherson novels. These are thrillers, they're fabulous, set in a writing retreat in a beautiful location. Wonderful books. And if you love thrillers and twisty novels. And then I cannot wait to get this. I just got this. Mrs. Oliver's Twist, a Quinn McFarland mystery by Sarah Lynn Richard. Cannot wait to open this and start reading it.
We haven't read it yet. Did you read book 1?
No.
I didn't either. And this book, she writes so well that you do not need to have read. I will go back now. I love that book so much. I will go back and read book 1, but she has developed the character so well that and gives just enough backstory that doesn't bog it down, but lets you know like enough of the details from book 1 so that you're not confused. But yeah, Sarah Lynn Richard, love that book. And I had no preconceived notions going into it at all. I was like, okay, great, a mystery and suspense. Yay, here we go.
Right.
And they're set in a neat place, like Galveston, right? And that's where she's from.
Right.
Where she lives.
And that's another thing about books is, I write to laugh and escape. The one place you can escape into another person's mind, another person's location, is through a book.
Mhm.
Also a movie too, but not so much the mind piece. You're always guessing exactly about what that person is thinking unless they blurt it out. But in a book, you're really jumping into somebody else's thoughts, which has always been something that fascinated me. And I think that's one of the reasons, probably the reason, why I picked up books and loved them in the first place.
Well, and it's also why I like to write, because I love the sort of the psychological component of it, like how people react to
Yeah.
hard things,
Well,
in a fictional way too.
in
But
a
I mean, like,
fictional way, I had with my main characters, I like to solve the problem and do it the best you can, and hopefully everybody's satisfied in the end. But your main character can't do that. They have to make mistakes.
of course, they
And I
have to.
had to learn that as I started writing. I can't just go, oh no, it's going to be fine. It'll all be like a good people pleaser. It'll be fine. No worry, no worries. It's just a scratch. Never mind. So yeah, you had to learn that.
So what I've been reading also by a Blackbird writer is the advanced reader copy of River Gold by Jeff Nania. That
Oh, no way.
and it is the Northern Lakes
Hmm.
series. Do I have it right? I don't want
Hmm.
to misspeak. Northern Lakes Mystery Series. So good. And I appreciate these wonderful police procedurals, but really enmeshed in Northern Wisconsin
Hmm.
culture. And this one in lore and legend to deal with the Great Lakes and such. And I won't give any more away than that, but it was really an interesting dive into history. So
Oh, that's fabulous. I can't
very fun.
wait.
So there you
And
go. Some good
yeah,
reading.
yeah.
Have you been roaming anywhere?
Yes, yes. Two places I have been roaming. First, I did a Wisconsin Writers Association retreat. We had a write-in, which went wonderfully well. And, we had a mini meeting, and then everybody had a chance to work on
Nice.
some writing samples. And so it was really fabulous. That was in central Wisconsin. And the other thing I did, and I am not kidding you when I say, I think this could have been, aside from having you assist me with publicity, Val, you're worth every penny. Let me just say that. Um, I went to let me get this right, Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium this weekend in Madison, 2 days, panels and script analysis and drinks and snacks at the end for $25.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was literally the best $25 I've spent in the book publishing world. I couldn't believe it. I could not
That's
believe you had 2 full days of panelists, advice, guidance, pitch sessions from people all over the industry. How they flew them in, from Hollywood, and we have people right here in the state too. It was fabulous. Mark your calendars for next April. Go, enjoy, meet people, pitch if you can, enter the contest. I was very fortunate that my script, The Infinity Thieves, was named a semifinalist. The winning script, called Belladonna, sounded absolutely fabulous. And they did a table read for hers, that Sunday. Just tremendous opportunities. And I'm telling you right now, the screenwriting industry and movie industry in the Great Lakes, I think is set to take off, because they have tax credits in Michigan and Minnesota, and hopefully enough people will get Wisconsin on board too with it. And think of the natural beauty here between the Great Lakes, the sand dunes, the forests, the intrigue. I mean, so much opportunity is just set. I think we are ready to go. So jump in while you can.
Well, and that brings a lot to the local economy. If a movie comes in to do something, a movie
Yes.
crew, and they're here for how many days? Back, oh gosh, I don't remember what year it was, at least a decade ago, maybe longer, probably slightly longer. The Johnny Depp movie, Public Enemies,
Yes.
partially filmed in Columbus, Wisconsin, near where my
Yes.
and our kids were middle schoolers at the time. Oh yeah, I actually couldn't do some math, so at least 15 years ago, I think. And they, got to stand and watch, and they transformed the downtown into a 1930s. It was the John Dillinger, design.
Yes.
And they put in these fake cobblestone streets that were actually like rubber mats. So then, of course, the sound effect gets added later. But they changed all the awnings over to match the period, and it was just a delight and just entertaining, right? To watch
Right.
the
Just to
process
watch.
of a movie being made. And I forget how many days they were there, but of course, it was great fun for us locals. And then to watch the movie and go, there's the whatever store. Like that's
Yes.
we recognize these places.
And then of course we all had a good laugh about Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School.
Oh,
Remember when that was filmed on the campus? That is such a hilarious film. And we all had a good laugh about that one. So
that's right. I had forgotten. Oh my goodness, right. Back in the day. That is an incredible low price though for that kind of
yeah.
programming. Wow. There were a lot of people I noticed that, people we know that we both know that were there, that were posting about it on Facebook and stuff. Uh,
Yes, yes.
and
Christine and Greg Renz was there. And well, I'm burying the lead. Um, Michael Graff, the organizer of the event and an award-winning screenwriter himself, will be on the Wispresso Cafe for Wisconsin Writers Association on Saturday morning, April 19th at 10 a.m. And that is free to non-members. All you got to do is sign up on the WWA website, and I'm going to interview him about the event, do a little debrief, and then ask questions about, hey, what's the best way to get started? What do you recommend? Tell us a funny story. So it's going to be a great hour.
So that's Saturday, April 19th, and it's
10 a.m.
and it's a live type interview.
It will be live on Zoom, and all you have to do is go to the WWA website and sign up.
Perfect. I will put that in the show notes for this so that people have the link and they can, head on over there if they'd like. This will come out the day before. I have not roamed anywhere. I have been sticking close to home.
Because you have a big project going on at your house.
Yeah, we're doing a kitchen remodel. Well, we're having a kitchen remodel done. Let's be very honest. I'm not touching any of it other than creating a teeny weeny little kitchenette in our laundry room and putting basically the contents of our kitchen in a bedroom, which is insane.
Hopefully you're making lots and lots of reservations so you can go out to eat in the evenings.
Yeah, and also my husband got on the great Amazon and ordered up a little convection oven and a hot plate, and we had a dorm fridge from a kid still in the garage. We're not hurting too badly here.
Yes.
And I'm sure we will, eat out many times this month, which is actually a good segue into writing, because I will not be cooking fancy dinners. Not that I do a lot of that, but I won't be in the kitchen as much as I might normally be because I can't. And that helps me get my writing done because I won't.
Yes. You've got a big deadline coming up, and you have a big anniversary coming up.
Yes. Wait, what's my anniversary?
Books and beer. Your books and beer.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And actually that will happen before before this podcast airs. But so as this airs, we will have hopefully celebrated a wonderful 10-year anniversary with Books and Beer on Saturday the 12th. And we've had some location changes and such, but we've been rolling with it, and we found a new location. And I'm excited. It'll be really fun, and you'll be there. And I hope as this is airing, we can say, whew, that was just a blast. And I'm sure it will be. There's at least 30 authors coming. So, and then all the fans and, readers and such. So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
And let me be one of the first to say congratulations on a wonderful effort, and thank you for having me on the show. And your fans are fabulous. They are dedicated and fabulous and super fans.
Well, and this, to be honest, when we started 10 years ago, we sure didn't know how long it would be going on. And this wasn't my idea. I was just the very first guest author, but the premise was, and this was an owner of a brew pub in Columbus, Wisconsin, who has now moved back to Montana, and we're at a different location. But she said, we want to do a book club, but we only want to do a book club where we get to talk to the author and ask questions. And they're like, well, you're an author. And I said, well, I'll come in and talk about my book. And this was April of 2015. And then they're like, well, other authors, right? And I'm like, well, I sure do. And that's, how it started. But it's fun. It's a fun environment, right? To get to talk to people who have read your book and they're asking, good questions about why you wrote what you wrote. And you're
Right.
getting, decent feedback. And, we sometimes go down really interesting research rabbit hole question, like
Right.
Q&As. But yeah, so I'm getting close. I have the rest of my book mapped out. I know what's going to happen. I'm approaching 50,000 words. I
Fabulous.
don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know how many more how many more words I need to do the job right without rushing the ending and whatever.
Well, and congratulations, speaking of books, on your double nom in the Independent Book Publishers Association for your books.
And to
For
you
some,
too.
oh, thank you. Thank
So,
you.
so wait, model ghost in the humor category,
Model
right?
ghost and humor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I entered mystery and humor, which is what I usually do because, I'm honored either way, but the humor to me is always something that I really, really love. And so yeah, humor. And you're in middle grade and YA, right?
Middle grade and YA. So the two books that came out last year, Haven and then the mystery Beyond the Cemetery Gate. And you never know, right? But the
Oh,
IBPA award is kind of one of the biggies in terms of awards. And
yeah.
it's not like we're trying to pat ourselves on the back, but there's a lot of awards out there where, like 50 people aren't in the finalists or semifinalists, but they pick three books and pop you to the top. All of us for sure now, all three books in every category for all the people, have authors who have been nominated will get a silver medal, and they will announce the winner, the gold medal winner
Really?
at their conference banquet, May 16th?
In, I think, May 16th in Minnie.
Yeah.
And it is quite an honor because you either get the gold or the silver. They only have three finalists. You either be a gold medalist or one of the two silvers.
Right.
And
Right.
it's quite an honor. And to your point, no, we're not patting ourselves on the back. However, I know how hard you tried to get an agent for your books. You documented it on YouTube. And if anybody needs inspiration or guidance, go to Val's YouTube and watch her series on trying to get an agent, which is a fabulous, honest series about the process. And my books were out on the Backyard Model Mysteries were on sub. And, my agent at the time couldn't sell them. And I said, I'm not getting any younger. I need to take the reins of my writing career and do what I need to do. And so I did, and have been thrilled and not so. We're going to read some reviews that aren't so good today. But, the point is you don't give up. And that is something that they emphasized at the Screenwriting Institute this weekend. It was, you're going to get kicked around and you're going to get rejected everywhere, but do not give up and keep learning.
Right.
It doesn't guarantee you're going to sell one, but keep learning and stay in the game as long as you can tolerate it. And we tolerated it long enough, and here we are.
I always try to remind people that yes, if you want to try to go the traditional route because you just want to make sure you can say you've tried. It's difficult. It's a hard route. It's very much an uphill battle these days. I feel like it's harder than it used to be.
Yes.
And it's okay if it doesn't work out, but if you feel like you're going to always wonder, then you should go for it and try it.
Right.
And then, like you say, I was like, I know how to do this process. I know how to indie pub. I am not getting any younger here, and I'm not going to fight this battle. I know I can get these books into the hands of the readers,
Right.
and that's my ultimate goal. And then we get this feedback, right, from these awards that says, this is a worthy book.
Yep.
And we also get the feedback from reviews, and we've obviously been getting good reviews. We're going to share some of the stinky ones today just because they're funny. Um, and also just like what camaraderie, kind of like to share the
Yes.
stinky reviews. Because it's good to laugh at them and laugh at yourself. And I have to tell you, there's some truth in these reviews.
Yes.
And there always is, which is also a good warning to authors out there. Let stuff marinate. Like, you might be mad about it, but maybe you should come back and read a review after you're not so like irritated by the reviewer or whatever.
Right.
And see, is there something about your writing that that was true that you could
Right.
improve upon, either in an edit or as you move along in your career, in your next book, right? Just something to keep an eye on.
And always remember, I believe it's an advertising adage. You've got 100% of potential buyers, potential fans. So 20% are going to love you no matter what. 20% are going to hate you no matter what you do. They're just going to be
Look at that,
whatever it
Maggie.
is.
That feels painful.
I know. And the 60% you want to persuade on your side, right? But just remember, and I'm paraphrasing here, right? So don't quote me on it, don't say, oh no, don't give me a bad review on my comment. Let's just put it that way. But there's 20% of people out there who are just never going to be your fans. They're never going to be your fans. And people are more likely to say something negative, human nature being what it is,
True.
than say something positive. That's life. That is life. And so you just have to go, okay, I'm sorry that I'm not your cup of tea. I'm sorry that I'm not your cheese curd.
Well, the other part is too, when somebody reads my book and they say, like maybe the beginning of the review is, I typically read sci-fi set in space. I'm like, why are you picking up a fantasy novel based in Celtic mythology that's for YA readers?
That being said, one of my reviews starts with this. Perhaps I'm too New York, but yes, you're correct. If you don't like Wisconsin humor, if you don't like supper clubs, if you don't get, oops, I'm sorry, and you betches, you won't like the books. You won't like these, the backyard model mysteries. No, I'm sorry. If they're too Midwest, then it's not going to be your thing. And, enjoy what you're reading. That's all I can say. You probably are.
All right, so I'm going to share one then. So this is for Circle. So I'm writing the fourth book. The one I keep talking about that I'm writing is the fourth book in the Circle of Nine series. This is the first one, you guys. Circle of Nine, Beltany. Beltany is an actual stone circle in County Donegal, Ireland. That's the far northwestern county. Just so you know, and for anybody who is watching this on video versus hearing us, I'm going to describe it for those just listening in. I have a cover with a woman it's like a historical woman in a cloak at a stone circle where the stone circles are about twice her height. This pertains to this review. This is one of the only stone circles that's this tall in Ireland. The majority of them are about max shoulder height or knee height or whatever, right? They're just not super tall. There might be one tall stone or whatever, but Beltany is very tall. It is actually bigger around than Stonehenge, but of course not as tall as Stonehenge. So this is, oh boy, this isn't great. So this is the title of this review: Pseudo Celts and Kitsch. Here we go. Two-star review. From the kitschy cover image with its two tall megaliths for Ireland's usual stone circles to the misuse of Tuatha De Danann as a Celtic group, much less a tribe, it is difficult to know where to begin to adequately skewer this dreck.
Oh.
The loose plot and pandering to the trendy YA market have been remarked upon already in other reviews. What is distressing is that young readers' minds are being fed this pablum. Archaeology has moved on from the pseudo-nationalistic Celtic paradigm. Why can't authors catch up? Also, this narrative is not historical fiction. It is fantasy, albeit scrambled, and that is giving it too much favor.
Oh, do you need a shot of whiskey after that?
Oh, to be honest, I have my review average is 4.5 out of 5 on this book.
That's really good.
I got like 165 reviews, whatever.
Boy.
I have plenty of reviews. So this is just a nasty review. And I think the person was trying to sound like super, super smart about it. No,
yeah, very academic sounding.
And here, yeah, that's fine, but I didn't write this to be like historically accurate or like I was pulling from mythology the things I wanted to pull from.
Yeah.
He's not wrong in the sense that I didn't follow a linear mythology type thing. I wasn't trying to do a rewrite, like a fairy tale rewrite or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I have one that's it's similarly awkward, but this one isn't a written review, but I was hosting a panel. I was the host, like the moderator, and then we had these wonderful bookstore owners, super duper people, love their stores. So okay, let me just show you. Okay, so here's the cover of Model Suspect. It's a woman, that's me actually, walking away from the camera, right? Model Wave, here's a woman standing away from the camera. Model ghost, same thing, woman standing away from the camera, right? One of the panelists, who is a wonderful person, she kind of rolls her head and she goes, "Oh God, please don't send us any more books with women walking away from on the cover." And I just go, hold my hands up here like this, like block it out.
I mean, okay. Right?
Right. I mean, nobody said a word. They just went on with the beautiful, wonderful panel from their great insight. But I'm going like, oh,
Were your books like in front of you at the time with the
they're like right here, and this store does not carry my books. And in fact, they carried like one, and I got this, your contract is canceled. Here's your books. What should we do with them? Basically kicked me out of the store, and I will not name it. But yeah.
Okay, well, all right. So I've got another one. This is also on the same book. Okay. This one's a 3-star, not a 2. So that's good. Maybe. The title, An After School Special on Witchcraft. So, okay, I liked after school specials. Remember those? So I kind of think that's fine. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I'll just read the first paragraph. It felt like I was reading an ABC after school special on witchcraft. Bridget, about to turn 15, is about to be indoctrinated in her family's secret rituals and learn about her magic bloodline as is their tradition. Yada, 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 whatever. But yeah, mundane things, he didn't like the mundane things or the minutia. Teenage girls talking to each other. Maybe don't read YA.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
That's
yeah. The villains are cartoonish. Felt that the good guys were collectively too stupid to live. But, however, I actually think there's something in here that I learned from, and it was he thought that the ending was rushed and a little too cliched. And I'm like, you know what? I went back later and I was like, I think there's some validity to that.
well, there's always the nugget, right, of wisdom in there. There's always the nugget. Not always, but sometimes when you read those and you've got a clear mind, and you go, I get it. It's like these covers, which I love, but when I update them, I will change them because I tend to agree. I do think the woman walking away has been used. It's intriguing, but I think it's been used. And so I think, it's probably a good refresh. Okay,
Well,
so
and I'm going to be refreshing these covers too. I mean,
you're going to refresh yours too. Yeah.
yeah. So it's all, I mean, the thing is, we, you have to get to the point where you're like, is it good enough to go? Is it good enough to
Yeah.
publish? And this is always this discussion. And we're going to talk more about like manuscript readiness in a different podcast episode in this series. I think that might be our next one, actually. But whether or not it's been edited enough. And I think sometimes first time manuscript, first time writers, we probably think we're ready before we really are. I think then perhaps then we get more reticent to let things go as we move along. Like, is it really ready? But you got to strike a balance because you can edit forever. You could
Yes.
be editing forever. Do you
Yeah.
ever pick up a manuscript? If you look back on something that's already published, do you ever read through things and not have something you want to edit?
Yes. Well, yeah, yeah. I always want to edit because the more I write, I'm a stickler for filler words and cutting them and cliche. And so I get militant about my own work about, wait a minute, no, let's rephrase. So that edit, I really want that. I always put myself in the reader's mind. What does the reader need? Do they really need to know, 3 comments about the weather? They don't, be vigorous in the edit, get that one verb or the turn of phrase that says enough and move on to the action.
Right.
Um, so let me go. Okay, I'm going to read
Are you going to read another one?
This one made me laugh.
Well, it's a good thing we're laughing because,
Yes. Or we'd cry.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin caricatures were overdone. Okay, the book is described as The Devil Wears Prada meets a Wisconsin supper club. I mean, it's in the tagline of description of the books. So the Wisconsin characters, let me just tell you, we don't overdo our characters. We are real. We are what is in those books, which is why I love our culture, which is why I write about it, because it's so unique. But anyway.
So the other night, and this is as far as I've been roaming lately, it was my mom's birthday. And we went up to the local bar with some neighbors. And
Nice.
when we say local bar, like this isn't like city bar, like Cheers. This is crossroads with a church and a bar. There used to be two bars. And it is they've got really good food and different specials, different nights. This is burger night, right? So you come in and I'm looking at the bar and I'm like, know them, know them, know them. And then the people we're with, right? And then more people come in that go, oh, to my mom, it's your birthday. And they're
They
not sure
knew.
it's my mom's birthday, but they know it's my mom's birthday.
Yes.
And my husband's from out east. And so he's lived here a long time. We've lived here a very long time. But we're just like,
he's grandfathered in. He's allowed.
He is. I think it's okay now. I think he's local enough now because he's been here. But we were just kind of laughing at how local it is. And really all the stereotypes that people have about Wisconsinites most of them were present in the bar. I laugh at your characters and the Wisconsin isms that they exhibit because they are familiar and it's funny to poke fun at the things that we do or say or whatever on the regular. So I think that's a fun. I mean, it shows you did what you were supposed to do with what you promised to the reader.
Yeah,
they didn't like it.
Setting is a thing. It's a huge thing for me. Setting in Wisconsin and the Upper Midwest is important because of the culture and because of the weather. Those are the two things I can really use as plot devices, and I do.
So I have one last one, and this is for my current mystery. It's not a terrible review. It's a 3.5 out of 5. But I'll just read the part that made me laugh a little bit. I found both the title and cover very appealing, though after finishing the book, was a little surprised that most of the action in this story actually happens inside the cemetery gate, not beyond it. So my title is Beyond the Cemetery Gate. And it is also not literal. It's literal and it's not literal, right? The things, right? It also doesn't beyond imply, like the beyond is dependent upon where you're standing.
Right. Right.
But I had to think for a minute. Did I screw that up? Should I actually have said inside? Like, if we're looking for a preposition. It made me think and it made me laugh.
It makes you wonder if the person writing the review is an engineer or somebody who is extreme, a wordsmith, somebody who's exact, right? You've got to measure exactly whatever your career is.
Exactly. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So, I mean, and this isn't a bad review at all. Like, it's a very kind review. And, some people review like a 3 or 4 is excellent. Like they rarely give 5. So, and that's fine. And that's completely fine.
Right.
Those are the fun ones for me to share today. Do you have any more that you want to share? Or did you do?
I have one last one, and it's actually a phrase that I use when I'm stuck. Inadvertently, this person is brilliant, or maybe she just is. I don't know. But she said, these are mildly engaging and a head scratcher for sure. Stuck. I'm like, well, this is mildly engaging, but a head scratcher.
Well, I mean, but that's good, right? A head scratcher in terms of she didn't figure it out until you revealed the villain. And I think that's great for a mystery writer.
Right. To get that. So, I just love the way she phrased it. Mildly engaging and a head scratcher for sure. So, mildly engaging.
You'll take
words
it.
to live by.
Okay, so we've shared some of these fun reviews today. Interesting. So if you've got a new book coming out, do you have a set strategy for gaining reviews? I have like kind of a 4 like bullet point system, like what I do. What do you do?
That's a very good question. I just delay.
Well, here, let me ask you, let's talk about each one on my list then. And then you tell me if you do it or not. So Getting blurbs or endorsements from other authors. Do you do that pre-publication?
Yeah, and then I've learned my lesson on that. I have learned my lesson. And that is why I was going to release something this fall. And I said, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to release it in 26.
Right.
I just feel like because of the time frame it takes to get that support, and I want to give other people time and be considerate of their schedule rather than just, oh, I need this now. I just said, I've got to have to wait.
I think that makes perfect sense. So then, do you always ask your readers, do you have an author note, say at the end of your book, saying thank you for reading? Do you do that and then say, please take the time to review, or do you not do that?
If I said that, I would be lying. That's an excellent advice.
Have you ever done any of the review services like NetGalley? Have you ever hired them to review?
I have. And I know people swear by it, and I know you do get the wonderful downloads. Sometimes it's a struggle though to get a review. And I find the NetGalley readers, they, as far as a group, you're going to probably get, what's the word? They're going to say
Well,
it's mildly engaging and a head scratcher for sure more often.
you know what? They are very voracious readers,
Yes.
and they are going to be more critical for sure.
There we go. You said it better than me. Yes.
And
Better
that's,
than
I'm
on.
pretty sure that's where this one about the Beyond the Cemetery gay comment came from.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive. So I tend to go through Books Go Social, where you
Yes.
can buy a month on NetGalley for like $99.
Mhm.
It's pretty reasonable. And then you do get an email with a spreadsheet with all the emails of the people who signed up.
Yes.
So you can communicate with them and encourage them, send them the links to review. I'm guessing I got maybe 15 reviews off of that. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
say for sure because not everybody says I got this from NetGalley. They don't have the disclaimer at the bottom of the review.
And one thing, Wisconsin Writers Association offers a free review. If you're a member, you can submit your book and get a, qualified review from our reading experts. So,
Well, and even if you're not in Wisconsin or not a member of Wisconsin Writers Association, you should check all your association
yes,
memberships and see if this is one of your benefits where there's a review
yes.
coordinator who will make sure that there's at least, something coming in. What about editorial reviews? Because that's my fourth thing, as I always encourage other people and do this myself. Do you go and get a Kirkus review? Do you try to get Library Journal or like Reader's Favorite or any of those?
Yes, I've done Reader's Favorite. Got the funniest review ever I think I've ever read from Reader's Favorite for Model Wave. I think the comment was, you know, something like, "Don't read these books hungry. I don't see how people stay slim or mobile with all the booze and brats and beer," and something really funny.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yes, I have used them and highly recommend. Yes.
Well, and Reader's Favorite is free, a free review. Some of them you pay for if you're an indie author. If you're writing in the children's market, you could try School Library Journal. That would be free, but they don't pick everything up. That's indie pubbed. They don't pick everything up, period. Doesn't matter if you're traditional or indie pubbed. It's got to, pique their interest a little bit. Then there's Library Journal for the adult market. Kirkus reviews, if you're traditional, you can have your publisher submit to them. If you're indie, you can purchase that review. It might not be a good review. You don't get to control the review, but you can get Kirkus. What else? Book Life, Writer's Digest, I think, has a review service. I mean, there's a Midwest book review.
Midwest Book Review, they do a wonderful job, and they produce a lot of content about books. Kind of an old school website, but man, it does its job.
There's thoughtful reviews too. And they really dig into like themes and things. And I find that I get some really good quotes from them, some meaty quotes that I can use in marketing materials. That's another reason, right? That you want those editorial reviews, because if it's from entities that people know, recognize, and you get a nice little like pull quote that you can put at the top of your book description or even put it on your book along with those other endorsements. So that's kind of my four-prong approach, which is, get blurbs from other authors, editorial reviews, ask the readers as much as you can to please review. I mean, If you don't ask, sometimes it doesn't even occur to them that you want to review.
So that's a fabulous list. Write it, write it down and go do a little research and find your tribe there for the book reviews, and then just understand that, if it's your first book, getting reviews is going to be an uphill climb. And they may not be everything that you want to hear, but learn from it and then just write another one and keep going.
That's right. And don't react to the bad review.
Come on a podcast though and talk about it.
Yeah, please share them. I mean, this was meant to be super fun today, and I hope it was to listen to. The fact that you've got to have a sense of humor about this. You aren't going to be everybody's cup of tea. People are going to pick you apart in these reviews because it's their moment to shine with their eloquent, critical, whatever.
Right.
And that is fine. So I'll put the list of the 4 types of, efforts for reviews in the podcast notes. But, one other thing that just happened that I was surprised at how many reviews I got, and I shouldn't really have been. I went on a virtual blog tour with
Yes, I saw that.
And with Partners in Crime tours, and they do more than just crime, mystery, that type of fiction. They'll do other types of books. And I got a number of reviews there. And not only did those people put those reviews on either their Instagram, Facebook, or their websites, like in their blogs, they also went over to Goodreads and BookBub and Amazon and put them up there too. So that was great fun. That's always a fun thing, to go on tour and hang out with these fun bloggers who just really love good books.
Right. And I'm always amazed, because our biggest competitor is time, right? We all get 24 hours in a day. We get 7 days a week, and people are busy. They've got families, they've got jobs, they've got commitments. And for them to take that time away from what they're doing, their priorities, we can only balance about 3, right? Isn't that the statistic? People can only really have about 3, and to enjoy it and then go, you know what, I'm going to focus on so-and-so's book and write something, good or bad, let's face it. You just have to appreciate that person, their most valuable thing is time, and they gave it to you for that moment.
Also, because readers aren't writers, the barrier kind of to writing a review, they get nervous about it.
Right.
I always say, just write one sentence, the thing you liked most about the book.
Yes.
Well, thank you. This was fun. Thanks for sharing your most delightful reviews.
You too. We'll do it again. We'll do it again after our next books come out, right?
Yes, we're going to encourage you, if you are brave enough to share the lines of the worst review you've ever had, let's make this fun. Let's all laugh together. We're in this together, and go ahead and post them. I really hope people do. I really want to see these.
Me too.
But we will be back with part 4 in this series. It'll be our 5th episode of the year. We will be talking about manuscript readiness, I believe, next time. Thanks for joining us this month, and check the show notes for all the goodies that we've talked about, all the links and things that we've mentioned.
Bye.
Bye.